Shalom Aleichem, and welcome to Black Gods of Yahweh Media. In the power of, in the glory of, and in the good of YHWH, Yahweh. In the name of YHWH, Beit Nun Sofit, YHWH, Yahweh ben Yahweh. Before I begin this topic, in the description box I have a link to the video, Yahweh ben Yahweh's Black Wall Street of Miami. It is a must-see and ties directly into this particular discussion. As you can see, I have a quartet of individuals here in this image. First things first, on a terrestrial level, I have a great deal of admiration for all of them. They are at the top of their game in the grassroots community as it pertains to the information flow to the so-called African American. If knowledge is power, then why aren't we free? This discussion is not directed to them alone, for it is a collective effort. However, at this time, I want to speak directly to this social media leadership. Why am I doing this? I see them putting their lives, their careers, their names on the line. So not telling them the truth is wrong, regardless to whether they're going to listen or not. It is my duty. This is not debatable. Now we have learned the problems and many forms of oppression and mistreatment against our people. We now know the Democrats, the Democrats are just as wicked as the Republicans. We now know that within every nation, there are people who hate us, even melanated people. We have learned that there is no such thing as a black and brown coalition. We have learned that we never got our 40 acres and a mule and or reparations were never paid to us. We have learned that there are people among us who look like us who are scammers and charlatans out for no good towards our community. We know that there are food shortages, water shortages, and more to come. We know that the leaders of this country care nothing about American sovereignty. Nothing about American sovereignty, only flooding this country with migrants to help suppress and outcompete and fight against you, as they are busy busing them to cities as we speak. We now know in Chicago that they are creating purge laws to release so-called criminals to get right-wing militia groups to go out there and just start killing black people. And we know that the Christian church cannot set anybody free. We now know all these things. So the pro-black community teaches all we need is knowledge. So then what's wrong? Why can't we defeat our enemy and rule the world? Because you don't have the correct knowledge. You don't know who your God is or his son. See, it's not enough to know that the Israelites were black, or the Moors were black, or the Egyptians were black, and that black people built America and many great civilizations around the world. That's not enough. You must learn of the man who came in the name of the Creator Yahweh and built a financial and economic empire in the 80s and 90s, right under your nose. Proclaiming you are the children of God. Once again, the very thing you cry about has already been done. A man has came and giving you empowerment, proclaiming that you are the children of true Israel. In Miami, Georgia, New York, Alabama, and other parts of this nation, he came and built a microcosmic nation known as the Nation of Yahweh, as a testimony of what is possible. You must know the name of YHWH and put your trust in the teachings of YHWH, Beit Nun Sofit, YHWH, Yahweh ben Yahweh. You must put your trust in his teachings and learn of him to be truly empowered. Once again, it is my appointed responsibility as a servant of the absolute sovereign one to spread this message. Until you take upon you the correct knowledge of Yahweh, you will continue to grieve in this period known as Jacob's trouble in the Bible. Let's take a look. We're going to go to Jeremiah 30 and 7 through 11. Jeremiah 30 and 7 through 11. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble. That's the time we in. We are Jacob, true Israel. But he shall be saved out of it. For it shall come to pass that in that day, said the Lord thy God, YHWH of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. Strangers in other nations shall no more eat off the so-called African American by imitating their music, their culture, their dress, their language, their style, their forms of communication, and then taking it for themselves. But they shall serve the God YHWH, Yahweh, and David their king, YHWH Beit Nun Sofit YHWH, whom I will rise up unto them. Therefore, fear not, O my servant Jacob. Let me stop right there. Therefore, fear not, O my servant Jacob. So, you must be a servant of Yahweh, said the Lord thy God, YHWH. Neither be dismayed, O true Israel. For lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and no one shall make him afraid. The servants of Yahweh, this is speaking about. This is not talking about just being black. 30 and 11. For I am with thee, the servants of Yahweh, said the Lord thy God, YHWH, to save thee, though I make a full end of all nations which I have scattered thee. All the nations that the people was sent amongst the transatlantic slave trade of Judah, Yahweh is going to make a full end of those nations. Continuing, yet will I not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee in measure, and I will not leave thee altogether unpunished. So everybody's not going to make it, regardless to what someone has told you. If you're not serving Yahweh, you're going to be the part that's corrected in measure. You're going to be the part that is punished. You must understand these scriptures and know how they affect you. Unfortunately, the vast majority of you who do not turn to Yahweh will suffer your entire lives in the hells of North America, then suffer hell again during the second death. The vast majority of our people, the masses are going to suffer a great death. That is a terrible, terrible ordeal. This is Black Gods of Yahweh Media. I want to say again, Shalom Aleichem. Hallelujah, Yahweh. Hallelujah, Yahweh. Ben Yahweh. Selah.